Hi, Abrar. Let's have a look at this essay about extended business hours. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether most supermarkets and pharmacies should be available for longer working hours. Some people believe that extending working hours, we have a repeat, right? Working hours here and working hours here. Let's try to replace by synonyms. Okay, for shops has a negative impact on both employees and companies. Okay. However, I personally disagree. Okay, you say some people believe this. Okay, so no, where's the second part of while others believe that? Okay. This essay will discuss both viewpoints. You see, you say both, using examples from Zara and the UK Ministry of Health. Okay, Ministry of Health should be capitalized. Ministry and Health. Okay, so if you say you're going to be discussing both viewpoints, you really have to mention both viewpoints. So far, I can really see one. The fact that you see that you say that you personally disagree is not exactly the second viewpoint, so you would have to present it in a more in a clearer way. Okay, on one hand, there is ample evidence that if working hours of shops were extended, it would have positive impact on the company's income and individuals. Okay, the central reason behind this is twofold, period and capitalized. Firstly, more opening hours means more shoppers, which will increase the sellers of the market. What do you mean this will increase the sellers of the market? Do you mean the number of people who sell will increase, or what exactly? Or do you mean the sales of the market? So I'm not really sure what you mean here. Not really sure. So this will impact your not only your coherence but also your task achievement partly. Secondly, if markets open after official working hours in companies and other organizations, what do you mean by this? It will allow employees to shop and get their basic needs in weekdays. Okay, first of all, what do you mean by market? A market and a shop are slightly different things. You have a look at the difference in the dictionary. Now, what do you mean open after official working hours? It's not that they open again, it's that they don't close. So perhaps this needs rephrasing. What do you mean they do this in companies and other organizations? Do you mean it's like a store in a company? How exactly do you mean? Do you mean that there's a store in the building of this company, or how exactly? So this part is not quite clear again. So we should avoid confusion at all costs, and you really need to rephrase this in a clearer way. This will allow employees to shop and get their basic needs. Let's agree on never using the word get in academic essays. Basic. What do you mean by getting? You can say satisfy basic needs. You cannot get your basic needs on weekdays. You can mean that they shop for their basics on weekdays. Do you mean this? Then we really have to say it differently. For example, an extensive study by Zara. Well, this sounds like Zara is a researcher. Well, in fact, you mean the retailer, right? Indicated that their income from the shops which open for 25, which are open or which stay open for 15 hours in London, are as much as 57% higher than others which are open for only 8 hours. Okay, so a bit of grammar fixing is needed here, as I mentioned. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that extended working hours will improve the economy of the company. I would say the profits of the company, the income of the company, but not the economy of the company, okay? Okay, and here, if we go back to the topic sentence, it would have a positive impact on the company's income and individuals. Do you mean employees or workers, or what exactly? Probably mean the workers, right? So, or on the workers' satisfaction. So perhaps this needs to be altered a bit. On the other hand, although there is a case for improving the company's income and make others people life easier when working hours of shop extended, The negative impact of this on employees cannot be neglected. Okay, bit of language fixing too. Well, there is a case for there is a case. I wouldn't use the structure, although there is a case for. Not really. I know this is the template, but here not everything in the template works with everything. That's the thing. That's the complication. So you could say, although undoubtedly the company's income may improve and the employee's life may get easier when the working hours of shops are extended. This is the best I can do with what we have here. The negative impact on this on employees cannot be neglected. Of course, we should not repeat the word employees, but you cannot simply say other people's life, right? So you would mean the workers. Okay. Is this a separate paragraph? If yes, we have a great issue with paragraphing because this should be one complete paragraph. Never leave paragraphs like this. This is not one paragraph. This, the way you put this in your page, signifies that you have two paragraphs. Okay, so this is largely because working for a long time can cause mental diseases for workers. For which workers do you mean? Do you mean the shop workers or the workers of the companies? I am not sure what you mean. For instance, an extensive study by the Ministry of Health, capitalized, as I showed before, in UK, reported that the more a person works, the more pressure and depression he, she, they, let's generalize this as they, can get. What do you mean by more pressure and depression? You can say the more susceptible to depression they are. And again, no verb get here. And this is a bit, I understand the argument, but I don't understand how this connects to the extended working hours. Do you refer to the workers in the shops? If yes, you really have to say this clearer because this cannot be understood right away. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that long working hours could be a factor of mental issues, leading to the development of mental issues, something like this. You make a very big statement, which is undoubtedly very true, but you really have to create better connection with the main topic of this essay. Otherwise, it looks like you found an interesting idea and decided to add it here. To conclude from examples and arguments given, I strongly believe that shops should work longer, even if this requires, not required, workers at these shops to work longer hours or for two shifts. You should write this in words. You have a repeat longer here. So this is unpleasant in terms of style. So perhaps try to rephrase this. This is because it will improve the income of company and help other people to get their needs easier. I don't understand. This argument is from a positive paragraph, but I don't understand how it connects here. I strongly believe the shops should work longer because if you say this is because, this refers to the last fact and you don't mean this. So perhaps you could say something like, I strongly believe that shops should work longer hours, period. Despite, let's say, this situation requiring workers to work for longer hours or two shifts, which may have let's say, repercussions on their health. This working, let's say, extended hours of various stores will certainly improve the income of the company and will help for customers to buy all their most necessary things, something like this. So you really need to rearrange ideas here in the conclusion. This is a nice essay in terms of ideas, but you really need to work on coherence and on the use of language, on the tenses, on avoiding repeated words and expressions, and on connecting your ideas as well as possible. Now let's have a look at the graph about rainfall. The line graph illustrates rainfall volume in three countries, which are England, Scotland, and Wales over 12 months from January to December in 2018. Okay. I wouldn't say which are, I would say, and namely England, Scotland, and Wales. In January, the highest rain amount was, I would say, registered in Scotland with almost this much, followed by England and Wales at nearly this and this respectively. Scotland reached its peak in this and this at almost this amount, while England reached, also you're repeating yourself. Look at this. Let's agree on one thing. Let's never repeat the same expression, especially in the same paragraph, in the same sentence. No. You really, the point of the exam is to determine if you can use a range of vocabulary. The fact that you repeat yourself shows that you don't really have a range of vocabulary. You know an expression and you keep using it. So there is no range, no variety. So this is how we get scores such as 5.5 or 6 or 6.5 and no higher. And this is why we're wondering, what's happening to me? What's the problem? But we should try to avoid repetitions at all costs and replace them with appropriate synonyms. However, Wales was increased. No. You can say, however, the amount of rain increased and exceeded the one in England in July with almost this much. Did it increase? With this, like, was it plus 127 or did it reach the point of 127? It's not really clear. And then it experienced a drop in August, September, and October. Was the drop sudden or gradual? Perhaps you need to say that. In addition, at the end of the period, which period? Which period? It's not really clear. Wales had the lowest rainfall volume at almost this, whereas Scotland had double this amount here. Okay. You're trying to make the most important comparisons, all right, but it looks a bit confusing. So perhaps we need to fix the structure of these two sentences, and this will help the reader understand how the data works. Overall, there is no clear trend. The rain volume fluctuated. Something is needed here. Either a full stop. There are no clear trend in what? As the rain volume fluctuated over the period over which period? Over which period? Or you can say over the above mentioned time period in Wales and Scotland, whereas it almost remained steady in England throughout the period of 12 months. Okay, so be careful with the time reference. Very often it's confusing. Be careful with highlighting the most important facts because sometimes it's not really clear what's happening. I suggest before you write, you look at the graph, you take notes, and you decide what's the most important here, and then you group things. It's like, this, I can see a trend here. I can see a stark contrast here. Only the most important things, and then make a conclusion. All again in notes, like, okay, this is the most important thing. This is another most important thing. So this being said, I really hope that this feedback is going to help you improve. Please make an error list of everything I have outlined, and make sure that you rewrite and fix as much as possible in your text.